Hello, everyone, and welcome to my new place, my new professional set. Why do I have this? Anyways, let's talk about 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. Now, this book has an interesting story with me because I started reading this in my first year of university, and I did not finish it until probably 5 years later. So this is like, at least the version I had was one big giant book, but within it there were like three different books. So I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I first started this book. Now the first book I finished quite quickly, the second one took a lot of time, and that's really the 5 year gap, and the third one is also a really quick read for me. So I love Haruki Murakami's work. There's so much magic within his worlds, and what I really like is that he doesn't make the magic the main focus. The magic is almost secondary, but it's always there. It's always looming on these characters of ours, and the magic is very mysterious, and I do like that. I do like it we're talking about novels within the modern world. I like that the fantasy magical elements to be a little bit more toned down. It just makes it feel more natural, and it just works better within the era that the story is happening, which is in 1984. Now, this is not a spoiler review, but what I'm going to tell you is really what happens in like the first page. So really, what's happening is you start the book with these two characters, Tengo and Aomame, and the first chapter is really you're experiencing one of those characters pretty much transitioning from their world to the world of 1Q84. And the unique thing about this new world is that there are subtle differences from our world, and they're really not that big, except one that's huge. And that is that in the world of 1Q84, there are two moons, not just one. There's two moons very close to each other. You're gonna see this automatically from the cover art and any thumbnails on YouTube, really not a spoiler in any way. So it's always these subtle differences between the two worlds, and straight away the character building really starts happening. I really enjoyed Aomame's chapters. There was a lot of mystery in everything she was doing. She's very mysterious. She's a sports instructor of sorts, masseuse, and as you'll learn, something of an assassin. And you have Tengo, who's a cram school teacher. From what I understand, cram school is basically a type of school in Japan that kind of prepares you for the university, if I'm not mistaken. So you get this like very mysterious and interesting character, Aomame, and it's almost contrasted with Tengo, who's like this very typical guy who's also trying to be a novelist. And that's where he meets our so-called third character of the book. I would call these three the primary characters, the third one being Fukaeri. But you don't get her character perspective chapters. She really comes in and flows in and out of the story throughout the whole three books, really. And what this book, I feel like at its core is about, it's about forgotten love, you know. I'm pretty sure anybody can relate to so-called feelings these characters are having, the feelings they're going through. They're starting to think about the love that they used to have years ago. And they really started to, they almost, at many points, Tango really daydreams about that what if kind of scenario, like back when, what if I was with this person, how would my life been different? So Tango's life is pretty miserable, but really the thing that still gives him a little bit of spark to keep him going is meeting Fukaeri. And she's this very young, also extremely mysterious character. There's a lot of mysterious people in this book. Young mysterious character who seems to be extremely talented at writing, and with Tengo's more better writing skills, they kind of team up together and they sort of kind of release this book that is a big hit in their world. There are, again, going back to the point that Murakami loves to hide and tone down the magic and hide it almost within different corners of the world. What I love is that book one, we really get the heavy focus on the characters and we start really enjoying them. It's so enjoyable reading about their lives and their struggles. Yes, Tango at many points kind of gets a bit boring after a while, because Tango kind of has the same-ish problems and it's not really changing much, while Amame is going through a huge change in my opinion. And really really the crazy stuff starts coming in pretty quick. You have something called the Crystallis, you have something called Little People, you have something there's a bunch of goats at one scene. What is even happening? All the weird, strange, magical stuff, and it kind of accumulates into this ending. And even before the ending, it kind of accumulates into this scene where all the things are just happening really quickly, and we're closely. And while it did take 3 books, it really reaches a point where it's like within 2 chapters, all the conclusions are tying up together, and everything is being tied together very well. Now, what I would say, a common criticism I see of Murakami, and something I've even had, is in some of his stories, you feel like there's no fulfilling ending. This one, I would say it's not the case. While there are still a lot of things that, in my opinion, are loose ends, and I do have a lot of questions off, and I do want to see another book that explores this world even further, because I think this is one of the most interesting worlds he has in terms of his stories. I would say the way the book ended was just absolutely perfect. It's one of the best ways a book can end, in my opinion. And I won't spoil it, but basically the way the book starts is kind of also a very similar way the book ends. And I love how he was able to pull that off so expertly, the way it started, the way it ended. It was just so well done. Those two are really the best parts of the book, the start and the end. The middle, there are many points where you're like, it doesn't have to be this long. You could cut down at least 50 pages, in my opinion. But I don't regret any of it, because when I was done with this book, it left me with a feeling of, why did I finish this book? Why did I finish this book? I've been reading it for so long. It's like a 5-year journey. It took me to finish this book, and honestly, this book is a doorstopper. It is, if you drop this book off the window, somebody's getting hurt. It is gigantic, at least the one I had, which is 3 books in one. And I had this big hardcover that was just absolutely gorgeous. All covers of this book are just absolutely beautiful. And I remember just finishing the book and being like, I don't want to finish this book. I almost want to leave the last chapter unread, but no, I had to go through it. And this is definitely a book that I see myself reading again in the future, because it's one of the things for sure is that this one is an instant classic for me. This one is easily gonna go into my top 10 books of all time. Just one of the best things ever written. And Murakami is such a great writer, and his writing style is so accessible and so perfect for people who just want to get into reading. You're not going to be overwhelmed. It's going to be smooth ride, the majority of his books. And I highly recommend it. I highly recommend you go pick it up, because it is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for joining me in my cozy corner of the internet, and have a good day. Bye bye.